Hey guys, BJ on Game Day back. You got Joshy, you got Brent. After what was an absolutely horrific round for a lot of super coaches, the first of the bye rounds, round 12. Hampton, how'd you go, buddy?
Fuck round 12. 671. It was probably the worst bye round in the history of me ever playing Supercoach. It was an absolute stinker. Had people pulling out left, right and centre. Dropped about 2,500 overall, which, to be fair, it's probably not that bad. But, it was one to forget for myself, mate. Happy to move on from there. What about you, bud?
Yeah, mate, pretty good week for mine. Sort of managed to miss the kick-outs and the Corey Howard nears that everyone was complaining about, guys getting dropped. And actually a bit of fortune there with William and kick-out going out. I had Liam Martin come out and score mid-80s, I think it was, by the end. So, mate, 950 for me. Good captain choice with Tamalolo. So, yeah, I think I'm up to about 3,000 overall. So, jumped up quite nicely. And, continuing to trend upwards, buddy.
So you've jumped me. I've actually not looked at anything because I've been outraged.
Mate, I have jumped you, yes.
That's not a good sign.
What do you call it? The time-space continuous back in order or something like that. I don't know. But, mate, look, yeah, obviously from a Supercoach point of view, it's just a tough week all round. The guys in the top 10, top 20 have obviously all allowed for the bye rounds because I've seen those guys all sort of scored around that 900 plus, and it's going to be really hard to catch those guys by the end of the season because they still seem to be having all the right players and all the right moves for this time of the year.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places.
Fuck round 12.
Fuck. Mate, I'm looking forward to 16. Look, I said it weeks ago. I said the bye rounds were key. You had to plan for them right. You had to pick the right players. Mate, you planned as well as you could. You picked the wrong players. You picked kick-out, and he was rat shit. Yeah, fuck round 12, I guess. But, mate, I'm looking forward to round 16 anyway. I've already started the bye planning for then, bringing in plenty of Sharkies, a few Warriors, a few Broncos, and hopefully can match that score for then and maybe move up even further. And top 500 this year, I'm tipping by the end of the season I can crack it. Game reviews from last week. No, what are we going? Oh, the Shuey. Obviously, last week's fortune teller there, mate. A little bit more luck for me. Jason Tamalolo turned up, look, huge score, 138 points there. Unfortunately, CNK produced an absolutely massive try saver within the last 30 seconds to get Canberra the win, but couldn't score above that 75. And, mate, what was your wild and wacky?
Oh, I think it was Brian 2 to be the high scoring outside, like centre winger for the round, which I think I panicked on with about 15 minutes to go before kick-off, and I've just thrown that out there because kick-out got ruled out and I wasn't going to trade him in, so I thought I'd mitigate it by just, if he went large, it would be a consolation, but he ended up, I think he still scored 40 in base, but he definitely wasn't the high-scoring outside back. So,
but
yes,
credit
mate.
to him, he's actually been playing all right. Brian,
I reckon he passed the eye test for me a couple of weeks ago, but hasn't been able to cross the line for a pie as yet. So once he does, he's pumping out the 70s minimum.
Hard to get in on him now. Obviously, coming up to round 16, Penrith have played their bye round, so yeah, a little bit of a tough one there, mate. Ton up for me, Jason Tamalolo. Mitchell Moses managed a redemption arc, scoring 110 points. He had a cracker of a game against the Bunnies. And my wild and wacky didn't come to fruition either, though. But it was enough for a 2-1 scoreline, mate. And what's the drink of choice tonight, mate? What do you got, the Great Northern?
No, we're actually going with a bit of an Australian delicacy. On this particular eve. I do want to say that I was probably going to go Moses as well. I didn't. Wait, when I panic traded.
Could have, should have, mate. What?
We could have, should have, but didn't. Did I go Moses? I was going to go Moses. I was even going to trade him in. I didn't. I'm a bit filthy. I'm glad it's not cat food. I'm glad it's not anything else. But right here, right now, it's going down.
Just a heads up for the folks as well at home. Obviously, I did promise a couple of the hottest corn chips, whatever it is on earth. I will get to that. Unfortunately, it won't be this week because I couldn't find a box. So I've got to figure out where exactly you can buy them from. I know you can get them online, so I might have to order them in, and we'll do that one spontaneously in the next few weeks.
Can there be like some sort of carryover punishment for interest, if you will?
Mate, I've already gone to 2 of the fucking hottest shit, and I've tried these things before, mate. It's not good. I can guarantee it's not going to be good for me that night. What do you want me to... What? Name it, mate.
No milk either.
No milk. Oh, all right. No milk. 2
No milk
corn chips. No
for
milk.
at least a good period of time.
No milk for the whole video. There you go. The way they go lately, they're an hour long. So
Yeah, he'll try to do that one on the buy round. Look,
all right.
so
Let's see this shoey, mate. Crack that can up for a bit open.
here it is. Australia's finest.
Hard earned thirst. He's obviously worked hard today. Crack it over. Where's the shoe? That's the shoe.
It's a pretty wonky old looking shoe, you'd have to say, wouldn't you?
Mate, I reckon there'd be some scummy, slutty shit in there.
It's a used shoe. There's a few fluffy things in here. I might take the headset off while I do this. Just give me a sec here. Might even derobe. Don't want to get anything on the robe, but give me a sec.
As long as you got some clothes under that robe, we'll be safe. But guys at home, obviously, as you watch this, send us in, obviously, how you went over the weekend. We're obviously keeping pretty good eye on the BJ and GameDay League, but any other viewers out there, feel free to comment. But here it is, the VB shoey in the mould of Daniel Ricciardo, Bam Bam Tuivasa. Get it in there. Bit frothy. We're looking a bit frothy. You got a good head on that, mate?
Definitely a bit frothy.
Get it in there. Oh, here we go. Down the lot. Ladies and gentlemen, first shoey of the BJ and GameDay League happening here, 4th of June, 2019. Brent Hampton, down the hatch, son.
You can't see it. Have a go at it.
Oh, look at that. Oh, get it in ya. Get it in ya. Here we go. It's a delicacy. Australian delicacy. Down the hatch. Oh, look at this. Loves a VB, this bloke. Loves a VB. Oh. Well done. Well done. Very good. Drained a lot. As you can see, there's a man of his word. Not the soft cat food, non-eating bloke I am.
All right, I'm back. How was that?
He's back. That was good, mate. Fantastic. Let's get on to the game reviews from last week. Enjoy that golden liquor taste, mate. The first game.
It's the best way to have a VB.
Now, mate, all 4 of these games from the weekend. Obviously, it's always hard in bye rounds and coming into Origin. All the Origin players missing. Second reserve grade teams everywhere with the injuries. All 4 games are absolutely atrocious to watch. But it was the Panthers who got over the Sea Eagles, 15 points to 12. As I mentioned, Liam Martin got across the stripe and was a little bit lucky for me. James Fisher-Harris continued his good form as well with another high score, 78. And Aiden Fanua-Blake now, probably a little bit of a double-edged sword here. Plenty of people had Aiden Fanua-Blake, and I know plenty of people in the BJ and GameDay League actually had him as vice-captain and looped instead of taking Tamalolo. And that ended up biting him in the bum a little bit. So good score again from him, 103 points. And Cade Cust, mate. Did you end up bringing in Cade Cust?
I didn't make a panic trade once kick-out got ruled out, so I didn't end up doing any of the trades I was going to do last week because I freaked out. And Cade Cust basically did nothing for 65 minutes, I think it was, and then set one up and scored the second one for Manly to go better than either of the blokes I brought in. That cost me $300,000 more per one, so that was good. Fucking game.
Yeah, but look, obviously it's a little bit tough to have kick out, whatever the illness was or however it may be, but a few super coaches last week, yeah, definitely some points missed out on there through kick out. The Friday night game, what we saw here was basically, again, just a sort of, it's probably the better game of the 4 games over the weekend. The Parramatta Eels basically playing a reserve grade Rabbitohs side. And the Eels with a little bit of a return to form. As you can see there, Mitchell Moses turned up 110. Another good game from him. For the Bunnies, Connor Tracy, mate. Let's talk about this young lad now. obviously moved in the 5'8" role and actually had a fairly good game.
Yeah, it was. It's crazy to think, they lose someone in Walker and they can replace him with a guy like this. He looks like he's got it all. He's pretty zippy around the park, got a good sort of footy brain on him. He was pretty involved for a bloke on debut. As well as Billy Britton, the guy that filled in for Cookie as well, mate, I'd have to say. Some really good prospects coming through there for South, mate. Both of those guys in pretty key positions look like they're going to be quality, and given that they're in those sort of vital positions, you'd sort of expect there might be some clubs that are sort of on the hunt for them.
Mate, interestingly, this week, obviously, a lot of talk about Origin and players backing up. Billy Britton hasn't been named in the 21. South have gone with their 4-forward rotation bench. Connor Tracy is in the 18 to 21 reserves, but no Billy Britton. Do you think we see Damien Cook play 80 2 days after Origin?
I can't see it happening. I'll be honest, I hadn't had a good chance to sit down and soak up team lists, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on with the list there. So Billy Britton's not even cited, is he? Not
that I saw. Again, I just sort of had a brief look through to see if there was anything that sort of caught my eye, and that was one thing that did. I don't think he even made the 21. So interesting there.
Yeah, if that's the case, I find that's quite peculiar, especially given that they're backing up. Listen, I think it's 2 days. They got the Friday night game against us, so I'm not sure what the thinking is there. Who's going to fill into hooker if that is the case? I'd imagine. I don't even know off the top of my head who'd actually be able to fill in for them. They don't really have a natural fill in there, so I'm just actually trying to have a squeeze at the team list. Anyway, I
think, there could be a little bit of talk about Cam Murray, but obviously he's playing for the Blues as well. Maybe he's the 9 for half the game, like that.
Yeah, and they've named an Adam Dewey in the 21, so maybe something like that, depending on what happens. But maybe Cookie does the impossible and backs up. Who knows, mate? It's going to be interesting. That's going to be, one of those games where we've got a lot of players that are playing Origin in that particular game that have been named to back up. Cody Walker, obviously Cookie, Murray, you got Ponga, you got Clemmer. It'll be really interesting to see who backs up in that one, especially given it'll be sort of not even 2 days later.
And also, obviously, at Suncorp Stadium as well. So, it's not much to travel, obviously, in a state on a flight, but it's still that little bit of inconvenience afterwards. Mate, Kalen Ponga, I've got to think he backs up unless injury plays part or anything like that.
Yeah, I think so. I think the concern there was last year. I think it was about whenever he debuted, he ended up copping a hamstring injury in the game that he backed up. So I think they're just going to be careful of that, and that ended up sort of squandering the rest of the year for him. So, provided he comes out unscathed, they'll have to probably back up for us to be any chance in this game. Same with Big Davey Clemmer. It'll be a big ask for a forward to back up, especially someone like Clemmer, given the physicality of Origin, as we know. But, we're going to need it. The debut of Jimmy Roberts out there for the Rabbitohs. Obviously, Dane Gagai will probably back up as well. But, a bit of strike now in that Rabbit side with the signing of Jimmy Roberts is a massive signing, in my opinion, mate. I think that could be, almost that last little piece to the puzzle for this South side that gives them a lot of venom on that left side now, mate. That's a huge signing for mine.
Saturday night game, and we saw the Doggies and the Raiders. Look, a little bit of mate, we were obviously watching a pool match while this was happening, but I tried to catch as much of the game as I could. The Raiders seemed to be in control for the most of the game. Obviously led there, as you can see, John Bateman, what a comeback. 3 weeks out from a fractured eye socket and I think maybe a cheekbone. Had a cracker of a game with 79 points. You'll see there, 4 players on 64 points for the Raiders. Saliva Havili, we talked about last week as being maybe a pod option coming over the next few weeks and for the bye round. Corey Horsburgh, mate, this big ranger. How good's this bloke going?
He's awesome, isn't he? He sort of put himself on the radar for me the week they played the South. He was really physical with Sammy Burgess and just wasn't scared of the tough stuff and got amongst it. And he's an absolute gem by the looks of things, mate. I think he come from North Queensland sort of way. And, proving that age-old adage that redheads got nothing to lose, do they? Because he's an absolute wrecking ball.
I've heard he can throw a few too, so I'm hoping someday someone actually does throw one at him, maybe a semi-Burgess, and he can send him for 6.
He's a big boy.
Yeah, very big boy. Probably the biggest news to come out of that game, mate, is the suspension for Hudson Young. Bit of an interesting one there, obviously. I didn't see exactly what happened, but eye gouging facial massage. The fact that he could get sort of 7 weeks for that, possibly if he put the not guilty plea in. But after all, he has put the guilty plea in, and he's taken 5 weeks for a suspension. So he had some loading there from a previous offence in New South Wales Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it, not in real time, but I saw replays of it, to be fair. I thought it was quite stiff, quite a big suspension for what it was to me. It looked like he was almost just sort of trying to steal his nose like you do play with the kids that got your nose sort of thing. It didn't look like there was that much in it, but yeah, I mean, it's quite fortuitous for Supercoach owners. You only probably had him for round 12 anyway. Now it's an easy trade. I think the same sort of things happened with Corey Riddell as well. Just on that, he's been suspended for 2 weeks. So, you know, for people that had those guys for 12, it's worked out perfectly. And it's just one of those things that's lined up nicely for Supercoaches, but it's beyond me how he gets 5 weeks for that. And, you know, Jared Warrior-Hargreaves gets half a charge for what he did. But anyway.
Yeah, I think that sort of puts it in perspective, doesn't it? Because the hit from Warrior-Hargreaves on Ponga, I thought was, a fair bit worse. But anyway, that is the judiciary, and I guess another contentious part of the game. Sunday afternoon, mate, we saw an absolute stinker of a game. This was just terrible. The Titans going down to the Cowboys 6 points to 4. Look, across all 4 games, attack was really hard to come by early. You found the teams a little bit clunky with the new combinations and things like that, but except for the Parramatta game in the end, that sort of ended up a few points on the board. But yeah, this was one where defence really played a part. The Cowboys were brewing in defence. They were down to, I think, 14 players after about 30 minutes. So really, really good result from them, and led by the wrecking ball in Jason Tamalolo. 138 points, including a contentious try. Mate, this guy's unstoppable.
Yeah, mate, I think just on the games, it was sort of one of those rounds in a bye round. This was the game you looked at for hopefully some high-scoring games so you could get some good Supercoach points. Tamalolo, yeah, he was obviously a shining light. Played the 80, racked up a massive base there, and also crossed the line for a try. He's just an unstoppable. He's an amazing player. But yeah, it was quite unfortunate really with these games this weekend. As you said, sort of South Parra was the highest scoring one of the lot, I think, and the rest were just absolute stinkers, duds, which killed you for Supercoach, especially when you're looking for some of those sort of junky points from those left wing picks or some, you know, bottom price players to get you through the buys. So it wasn't ideal, but for those people that planned well for the buys and had a few of those premiums like your Adam Fanor Blakes and your James Fisher-Harrises and Mitchell Moseses and guys like that, it was money well spent and paid off for those guys this week. So, yeah, well done to everyone that got through it because it was a stinker.
Mate, casualty ward from last week. Look, there's not really many I can think about. We're going to the games for this week now. Obviously, back to the full complement this week. 8 games kicking off Friday night after Origin. We've got the Bunnies and the Knights. Mate, yeah, obviously, through all 8 of these games, there's going to be a lot of questions about who backs up, who doesn't. Some teams have gone ahead and named their normal side. Other teams have named Origin players in the 19 to 21 or 18 to 21. So it'll just sort of be a wait and see. Probably the biggest news, we might just go over these quick, but is Manly Sea Eagles, mate, this weekend. Welcoming back Tommy Turbo.
Yeah, Supercoach royalty back this weekend, mate. Obviously some big decisions to be made Supercoach-wise with, a lot of people probably got Teddy and RTS or Teddy or RTS and maybe Ponga or someone back there. What do you do now? As we've sort of mentioned, I think we talked about it last week or the week before. Do you, if you got your RTS, do you sit out on him now. I think you have to hold him out until round 16 to get that bye coverage, and then you look at a transition to Turbo for 17. But I think Turbo, whether you trust the Hemis or not, I think I'll be trying to get him back in. It probably won't be before round 16 because after 12 I'm going to have to try and do my best around 16. But he's back, and it'll be interesting to see how he goes. I think there's every chance he might play Origin as well, depending on how quickly he bounces back. But I'd imagine it'd be good to go, given they probably might have rushed him back too early and they paid for that. So hopefully he's all sweet now.
Yeah, completely agree, mate. A lot of tight games this week, I think, with the injuries that are there and the doubt over the Origin players. You'll see the markets across there with the Roosters being the shortest favourite of the week against Penrith Panthers. Now, obviously, Penrith have had their troubles. Cooper Cronk's named to be back in alongside Drew Hutchinson in the halves with Luke Keary out that little bit longer. But made some good games. Finished off with the Monday afternoon game. So Monday afternoon, just be careful of that, guys. Obviously, with regards to any changes you may make, anything like that, just allow for that Monday afternoon game. What do we roll into now? Casualty ward? Something like that. Casualty ward. As I say, look, I'm not too sure who got injured over the weekend. We've talked about the suspensions and that. Some pretty decent ones there. And to key Supercoach players at the end of the day, blokes like your Hudson Young and Corey Waddell were in a lot of teams. But injury point of view, look, I think
Sammy Burgess is a big one, mate. Obviously, you managed to dodge that one. He's actually stunk it up for the last few weeks. Turns out after that Newey game on Friday, he's going to go get shoulder surgery. He's probably the most notable one. And he'll miss, I think, 3 games or something for the Bunnies over a 5-week period. So they've timed it to ensure he's missing the least amount of games possible. But he's a crazy prospect. I think he's priced around the 460k mark now. He's almost, it's unbelievable for Sammy Burgess to be at that price, to be honest. And he'd probably be the biggest Supercoach relevant one, I reckon.
Is it just a clean out, mate? I've heard he's just having the shoulder cleaned out. It's not so much anything structural. It's just sort of making sure he stays healthy for the end of the season.
I think that is what it is, and I guess given the turnaround and how long he'll be out, it must be. I think it's something that if he doesn't sort it out, it'll just be ongoing. But they've weighed it up, and for them, I think they're going to make a big charge for the title this year. And if they're going to do it, they definitely need him on board, as bad as he can be some weeks Supercoach-wise. He's an integral part of that side, and I think they're planning for that back into the year. So, a bit of pain for them now. I think they should be fine to get through the next sort of month of footy without him. They got a bye coming up as well. It's a bit of a hard period for him as it is, but I think it's definitely going to need him if they're going to give a good strike for that title in the 4-pack, and I think it's a bit of that, to be honest.
Yeah. Look, I think probably the biggest thing this week, not so much the casualty ward with who's out, but the injuries that people are coming back from. Blokes like, as we've talked about, your Tommy Turbos, DCE named on the reserves, obviously, and he's playing Origin after that week out. Mitchell Pearce, there's a talk about the groin strain. He's been named back in. Jordan Rapana, he's been named for the Raiders in the 5 jersey. So a few blokes coming back, which could be key for Supercoach, or maybe those sneaky pods.
And obviously, any of those guys backing up from Origin, who knows what's going to happen in Origin. Keep your eye on those team lists right up until kickoff, especially the Friday night games for those guys that you have playing, because anything could happen tomorrow night. And that could actually have a big impact on the trades you might end up making that you thought you were going to make, say, thinking at this point in time of the week.
Definitely. Trading.
Change places! Change places!
Recap from last week, mate. Now, obviously, you mentioned that you didn't go ahead with any of these.
Well, I didn't end up trading out Dylan Brown to Cust. So obviously, I heard the news, within the hour before kickoff that Kickow had been ruled out due to illness. Fucking Kickow. And So I ended up leaving Dylan Brown in there. I didn't go cust. I did trade out Aikens. So I ended up trading out Kickow and Aikens. I brought in Ferguson and Gutherson. I was tossing up between going Brown to Gutherson, but my thinking was I'm probably not going to keep Gutherson till the Moylan till the end. I thought I'd be probably bringing in SJ in the next few weeks, given he was expected to be back. So I brought in Gutho and Fergo. Part of it was that I thought they might put some points on South, given they were pretty under strength this week. But I also did have a good look at their run home, and they don't have a bad run home. I guess the only problem will be is that they need a click and be in the running to make finals on the run home for them to be a worthy investment. But I've sort of picked those two guys on that basis as well. Obviously not bringing in Moses stung a little bit, but as I said, I think it would have been 2 trades anyway because it would have just gone him to someone else. But, arguably he could be a good pod for the run home on that as well. But, yeah, it didn't work out. I think I would have gone Cust and 2 in. Cust obviously got those junk time points at the end for the Eagles, but I think it's just summed up my year this year. I think I brought in Hodgson for the bye, lost him. Kickout had him for the bye, lost him. Brought in Aikens on a bit of a hunch. He didn't end up playing, so it was just a comedy of errors for me this round, mate. Happy to see the back of the fucker.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Mate, I can't remember what trades I did last week, to be honest. What did we do? Oh, yeah. Actually, I did do these. A little bit of again, I sort of thought about Moses last week, but I would have had to have gotten rid of, I guess, Cleary with how the money was sort of projecting. But Wanga Blake went out for me. Obviously, he's injured for long term and didn't turn out to be the pod I'd hoped. Brought in Reed Marnie for him, just using Jules. I went Carrot Holland into the centre wings, and he'll be gone over the next few weeks. Reed Marnie had a good game. I think he scored mid-60s and ever consistent. And I brought in James Fisher-Harris there for Jake Turbo. Now, a little bit of a contentious one, obviously, releasing Jake. Hard to say, obviously, that rule never trade a gun. But in my opinion, obviously, with the next sort of 6 weeks, Origin, maybe he needs a rest here or there. But I just think he hasn't been playing well enough. Whether it's the fact that Tommy Turbo's been out, I just think Jake hasn't been the dominant second rower that I'd expected him to be. So I think I can get cheaper guys and get just as many points.
I think those trades worked out for you in the end, mate. Those ones this week. Marnie went 60 plus and Fisher-Harris had a blinder.
Exactly. So I can't really complain too much about that. I reckon pretty good.
Yeah, this week, a few options. I think this trade of Hodgson will be sort of dictated by whether Cookie backs up or not. I'm not 100% sold on this, but I've got a bit of cash there. I can upgrade Hodgson, tinkering whether it's a Smith or a McInnes. If Cookie does back up, I guess the nice thing is he's playing on the Friday. I don't know if I'll actually do this because I don't know if I'm, depending on which one of these guys I go with, they're going to be in my 17 every week for the run home. I think I'm at a point where I'd imagine if guys like yourself have jumped me, I'm going to have to start going a few pods, and it might have to be someone like a McInnes. But I might just have to start going a few random ones. The other one I'm looking at was Sivo to Stags. I think Stags is pretty cheap. He's probably got some good security. We'll play around 12. I think he's only 1 or 2 good games away from some nice rises. I think he's quality. Tony Stags, I really like the looks of him. He passes at the eye test for me. So he's got that duality there for the second row centre wing, which is good. So you can move him around later on if you need to. But I'm also having a look at Masters. So just sort of depends what happens with Cookie on that one. But that's what I'm thinking at this point in time as of this afternoon. Yourself, bud?
I've got to be honest, I'm not a fan of Katoni Stags. I know when he came into the sort of how good is this? Hang on. Let me just finish on Katoni Stags. When he came into the NRL there last year, came in with a bit of a bang, but I just don't think he's found that consistency in an underperforming Broncos team. Anyway, let's move on to my trades now.
You know what this looks like when you go into a police investigation room and they've got all these links up to one one main person. They got them all pinned up all over the board.
This is
Have a go at it.
Don't we get 5 this week? Look, mate, this is obviously. Look, I'm laying my cards here. I'm laying my cards out here. Fact is that the guys up the top there, the 5 ins, they're all going to come in over the next few weeks. I'm just not too sure which order. At the moment, the most likely one is Jerry to come in, purely because his break-even's minus 37. Now, I missed this guy earlier in the season, but timing-wise, I just simply couldn't bring him in because of round 12. He didn't play it, and it just didn't fit into what I wanted. But with SJ coming back, he's starting to show that form now. He had that big sort of 130-point score, I think, a couple of weeks ago against the Dragons. Look, I'm not expecting another one of those, but if this guy can average sort of 65 by the end of the season, he's active enough. I reckon he's actually a keeper. I reckon he's a keeper for the run home. So he'll be one that I probably bring in this week. The other 4 guys there, Make Sivo, he's done his job. He's made us 300,000-400,000, whatever it may be. Doesn't play 16. He can go out. Ewan Aiken's a big one. Now, earlier in the week, I was having a chat to Kane Anderson, Dr. Kando, who's in our BJ and GameDay League, and very astute SuperCoach player. Unfortunately, probably having his worst year in 5 years, he tells me, this year. But we were sort of looking for someone who was on that cheapy side of things, maybe a nuffy that would play 16. I couldn't actually come up with one that was sort of in that 160 to 180K range. But the guy I did come up with was Ewan Aiken. Now, last year for the first half of the season, he was basically your best centre winger in the game. He was borderline keeper. Then he absolutely got touched up by Latrell in the game, and his confidence just got shot from there. Now, again, probably hasn't had the start of the season that you'd all want to see from a guy like him, but at 270 or 280K, I don't think you can ignore this guy. The fact that Laffey's out for a long term and the fact that he plays 16, I really reckon this guy's a must-have for that round. Now, whether you actually buy him in now and play him, it's not a necessity. His break-even this week's 48, so you can probably wait another week. But I reckon over the next 4 to 5 weeks, he will make 200K, and he'll be a player for 16. For Feeder, look, I dropped him a couple of weeks ago after that hamstring issue. He came out and banged out 100. Love the bloke, but that's just a bit of egg on face there for me with never trade a gun kind of thing. Sean Lane, he's due to go out, so it'll be a straight swap there for Feeder for Lane. Sean Johnson, now, bit of cash in the bank. I could go Sean Johnson and drop out Dylan Brown. And then the other one there, Hudson Young for the Raiders. Obviously, that 5 weeks out now, so break even still okay, but it's time to go for him. He's just sitting there. Isaiah Papali, now this is a big guy I had from last year. Massive, massive player last year. A lot of talk about this guy at the start of the season, and he had that drink driving incident and never made it really back into the team. Looks like he's starting now, playing 80 minutes each week. Could be a big pod coming home and moving into round 16. So, guys, that's basically my tale of the tape. Who knows which of those 5 trades will happen? It'll be 2 out of the 5, that's for sure.
Fortune teller this week, mate. What's
Fortune teller.
What do we got on the line?
What do we got on the line? I don't know. What do we got on the line? I'm finding it harder and harder to come up with things.
You need some suggestions, folks. And Teddy, we're not clapping shit in our hands. I can tell you that much.
Well, yeah, mate, Teddy comes up with some fucking pearlers, I can tell you. Fucking hell. I've got nothing, mate. I've got nothing. Not off the top of my head. I hadn't really thought about it, so
yeah, you won't do it anyway.
Yeah.
We're going to have to think of something because otherwise this becomes meaningless. And once you retrospectively have a look at what I've done, you're going to want to back out because my picks are so solid. So,
all right, well, fair enough. We'll come up with something. We'll come up with a bet soon. But let's go to the picks. Ton up, I've gone to MILF. Up against the Gold Coast Titans. Look, I'm not too sure. I looked through the team list this week, and it's really hard to find someone considering the guys who are named outside 21s, whether Origin guys will play. I've gone the MILF purely because maybe he's due. The redemption, I've gone with Ruben Garrick now, 38 or 39 points last week, so just falls into the category. And I actually did go with last week's points, so I only looked at the 8 teams that played last week. Whether you've done the same, mate, doesn't really matter, but I reckon Garrick might come up with a big score and score a few tries. Wild and wacky now. I'd probably have to refer to my text that I sent Bogan about this, but I picked 3 players. I think I picked SJ. Actually, I've gone a little bit of a wide one there. So straight away, if he doesn't play, I've lost this. But I've gone SJ. Who else did I go? Cam McInnes and Bailey Simonson to all score the most amount of points for their respective teams this week. So to top score for their 3 teams. So that's my wild and wacky for the week. What about yourself, mate? What do you got?
Yeah, so I have gone Matty Moylan's a ton up against Para. I think he's back. I like him. I think that right edge, FJ plays all the better for it. I don't know if SJ will play, to be honest, but I've gone Matty Moylan. Hopefully those hemis his are all good. I think, that right edge of the Cronulla Sharks is really venomous, and he chimes in nicely. So I'm tipping him to get over Para with the ton. I've gone Croker to redeem himself. He's just due. Surely he's due. He's absolutely stunk it up the last month of footy, basically. So if nothing else, he's due. They take on the Tigers. I don't think he pairs up on Masters. Not that Masters can really defend anyway, but I think he's probably due for a pie and a few goals. So I'm going him for the arc. And me wild and wacky, I am going the New South Wales Blues 17 to outscore the Maroons 17. So whether they back up or they don't, of those players that play Origin that back up for their club, the Blues players will outscore the Queensland players. How about that?
Yeah, okay, rightio.
And you got to give me a bit of credit because that Friday night game there will involve, it'll have Cookie, it'll have Cam Murray, it'll have Cody Walker, it'll have Clemmer. Queensland side that will have Gagai and Ponga, but I think that one being as close there on the Friday, there's more likely that those guys get rested maybe. Maybe not. You could argue that the longer the turnaround, the less chance they are to play.
I ain't giving you credit for shit. The
Kotrick on the Friday
night
night
something
as well.
On time. That's what I got to give you credit for.
Yeah, fair play.
The fact that you actually came up with something.
Yeah, no, that's a fair call. So that's what I'm going with. You happy with that?
Mate, it'll do. I can work with that.
Right.
So,
beautiful.
Done. What do we got next, Bogan? Transition to the leagues. Okay, so obviously BJ and GameDay League. We're on Facebook. SuperCoach group code 701371. New thing this week as well. At the end of the leagues, we're going to bring out top scorer because we do have a few guys in the SuperCoach group now. So we're just going to give a shout out to the top scorer of that group each week because not everyone in it is in the BJ and GameDay League. BJ and GameDay League, what do we got? Last week's scores. Hells Grannies finished top scorer, 958 for the league. So very well done. Myself finishing second on 950. Tunnel Snake, mate, you got updated. 928. You must have been on Tamalolo for the top score, Tunnel Snakes, because, mate, I swear you were under. Mitchell Moses as well, Bo. You're a genius, mate. You are a genius. Next season, you're going to be on fire. Overall, so obviously that's the week. Overall, Bunning Snags, pretty piss poor week from Charlie. Unlucky Charlie. Made 688. He did drop, I think, from 36th overall. So that was his high season, down to 336. Just goes to show you it is really tough once you get up the top there. You really have to plan for those bye rounds because I think the top 10 basically didn't really change. You might have had a couple of guys enter it, but all those guys in that top 10 scored, 900 plus, basically 1,000 plus. Rangers de Janeiro is pretty strong for the week, 886, and double Demon, Stevie Woods, massive 40k pot winner on Friday. What was it? Saturday night. He had his a big pool match up here in Queensland, and he got up for $40,000. So well done, Stevie Woods. 820 for the week. What we got? Head-to-head results. Gangsters Gagas, we won't worry about that one. Psycho Circus managed to come up against Charlie White on his weakest week. He only had a few players, and I got over him there. Marty continued good form. A little bit unlucky here. Dr. K. Ando, he did take the head-to-head. He took the captaincy off Tamalolo to Luke Fanua Blake. So a little bit unlucky there, going down by 3 points. Hell's Grannies, big win over Big Ted. Teddy did struggle with the bye rounds, hadn't really allowed for that too much. Mate, PTKB gave you a bit of a hiding, 850 to 671.
Lolo scored half many points, mate, this week as captain.
Yeah. Mate, you did well. How many did you end up playing? What, 7 or 8?
Oh, 9 or 10.
Yeah. Rangers de Janeiro still remains undefeated. Another solid score, 886. He moves to 10-0 for the season. Leanne with Fire and Ice, she's going from strength to strength. She's just hit 500, so 5 and 5 there. So she's done well, 880 over Brendo. Fucking Cowboys beat the Brendan's Bashers, so lucky to get him there at just 665. Tunnel Snakes with the big win over Woodsy, 928 to 820. And Checkmate managed to scrape over Trent with What's a Pod. Rankings. Rangers de Janeiro, he is flying. He is flying out in front. 10-0. Big Ted remains in second place despite that heavy loss, as does Brendo. So remains in third. So Rangers de Janeiro is dead set heading for the minor premiership, well and truly out in front. Mate, next week's games, run us through them.
Yeah, mate, the first game there, we got Gangsters Gaggers up against, I cannot see the top right of my screen.
Mate,
Joshy, you're taking on the Gaggers. So I think the Gaggers have been reasonably solid most of the season, I think, mate. So should be an interesting one for you there. Marty taking on the for and against booster, so Marty will be happy with that. He's gone into last week's bye round, basically giving himself a 4-point win going into the threat this week. Hell's Granny's taking on the Snags. I think Wayne will be looking to take the scalp of our total points leader, the bloke that's sort of taken his place from last season, I guess, in the total points. Myself taking on Dr. Kando. Kano's sort of struggling down there on the head-to-head, so I'm looking for a win to keep my record plus 50%. Ginger taking on Big Ted, so Teddy looking to...
it's a good battle.
Solidify second. These boys are mates, are they?
Yeah.
Battle of the boys. So, big one there. If Ginger can get up, it'll actually bring their records to be the same. So both will be looking at 7 and 4 if Ginger can get up there. So a bit of a battle happening there. We've got over the page, we've got Fire and Ice taking on, it must be Peter top, Kevin bottom. Leanne looking to keep a good recent form alive. Marky the fucking Cowboys looking to be the first one to do the impossible, taking down Rangers. Can he do it? Rangers are probably massive favourites, at least until the next bye round. Absolutely killing it, and also jumped in the top 1,000 overall. So absolutely flying at the moment. The Tunnel Snakes looking to go back to back, taking on my mate Brendo. What's a Pod getting the for and against booster against the Bashers, and Checkmate taking on Stevie Woods, which could be a good matchup this week.
That's a match of the round there, I reckon. And then what do we got? It's probably a bit. Oh, here we go. Shout out. So, Mighty Mullaways. Barry. 1,046 points. So, obviously, guys, we've got that Supercoach group code there. 701371. Anyone who does want to jump on board, we've got about 15 or 20 blokes on that who aren't necessarily from the BJ and GameDay League already. So jump on board, boys, and obviously continue the banter there if anyone wants to. Mate, obviously, first thing with the social media pages up top, everyone jump on board. I reckon over the next few weeks, any tips you've got coming into bye rounds, anything like that. Obviously, I've spruiked you and Aiken a little bit today, and Isaiah Papali. They're two blokes I reckon who could be pods heading into round 16. Hampton, I've come out of round 12 with 4 players that are definitely playing 16, provided injury stays away. I'm thinking I'm going to use another 9 trades. So 11 possible trades in between now and 16. I'm going to use 9, and I'm going to field 13 again. So I reckon based on what we saw on the weekend, 13 players scored 950, managed to jump up about 4,000 spots into about 3,000. So I reckon if I can do the same again, try and get closer to that top 1,000.
So how many trades you get between now and round 16? You got 13-2, 14-2, or is it 14 and 15 you get 5? And 15 you get another 2. Is that so you get 9 trades between now and round 16?
Plus 16. Whatever happens is 16.
So you get 11.
13, 14, 15. Yeah, you get 11. There's one lot of 5 in there and 3 lots of 2. So, yeah, you get 11. And then if I use 9, that'll leave me 7 for the run home to get Origin players to sort of get around injuries, things like that. So, mate, it'll be dire street by the end there. But in saying that, I mean, team value is just over the 13 million by now. So 25 players or whatever we've got to fill in, that's more than $500,000 per player. So I reckon you can field some fairly strong sides already and not really have to worry too much about injuries if you've got the right players to sub in.
Yeah, going to be really interesting. I think, especially the guys like Nakora now, with the rumours going around about some of that stuff, whether you'll keep his spot, whether you trade some of these guys now, who knows? But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what people do with the guys like your Sivos and your Clockstads who you could argue keepers based on the averages and how they've gone throughout the year, but will they come back to bite you on the run home post the buys? It'll be really interesting.
Yeah, definitely. But that's it for another week, guys. Thanks very much for joining us post round 12, post the first bye round. Origin tomorrow night, mate. Give us a quick tip.
Blues by 6. You?
First try scorer?
Latrell Mitchell.
Man of the match?
Damien Cook.
Mate, I'm going to go Blues by 16. I reckon we will give them an absolute hiding. I absolutely love the Blues bench. I think Queensland are going to get absolutely dominated in the forward pack, and the guns in the Blues squad are just going to tear them apart. I'm going to go with first try scorer Nick Kotrick. I reckon he's going to have a wow of a game, but I reckon probably up front David Clemmer will get man of the match. I reckon he'll have a huge, huge performance. But
Bogan,
as I say,
who you going? Let's get from the Bogan.
Bogan. Let's go live, Bogan.
Tip for Origin, is that what you want?
Tip for Origin,
no.
mate.
I
Who's
want to know what you're having for dinner tomorrow night.
Oh, well, KFC, of course. Got to take the
Have
ref
to all those
sponsorship.
video try revisions.
Yeah, that's right. New South Wales by 4. I think it'll be close. Origin always is. So, first try scorer, I would say Latrell, but we'll go Teddy just to be different. The Breno.
Man of the match.
Man of the match. Oh, bloody hell. I reckon it'll be Cook as well. I will go the same as Brent for that.
There you go.
It should be a cracker, mate. Looking forward to seeing a few of these young blokes as well. Payne Haas and Cam Murray go around, and be wary of the Kalen Pongers and the Cam Munts is going to be a cracker.
And guys, just a quick tip, obviously on Payne Haas as well, coming off the bench for the Blues. You probably won't expect this guy to play big minutes in his first Origin game. I'm probably tipping he'll get 25 or 30 minutes off the bench, but that could see him in good stead for the weekend. One of my tips for the weekend is Payne Haas to go 80 plus for the Broncos. So definitely make sure he's in your 17, whether it's the reserve or starting spot in that second row, front row. But that's it for the week, guys. Cheers for joining us. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. Catch you all next week.